Hi everyone, I'm really sorry about the lack of videos. The reason for this is actually the subject of this video. I know I said I was going to keep these coming on a more regular basis, but pretty huge fundamental changes have happened with Rosvita. You might have seen them on the blog, but I won't go into too much depth here. I want to talk more about the kind of process of coming to this conclusion that these changes need to happen and what's been going through my mind as the changes have happened. But suffice to say, the core gameplay experience of Rosvita just hasn't been landing properly. This entire time we've been here at Stugan, beforehand it was the same problem, but we didn't have enough time to really focus on the game, so we had the luxury of thinking, oh, this is something that will just sort itself out. Well, we've been at Stugan, we've been tweaking and changing things, and we just couldn't nail down this experience until it came to the point that we had to face up to it, or rather an external party forced us to face up to it. Every mentor who's tried it, every fellow Stuganeer, everyone who's played the game has all said the same thing. This game's really cool. There's an awesome set of mechanics behind it. It just ain't working yet. But no one could quite put their fingers on it until Alexis Garavarian. I'm really sorry if I got your name wrong. He's an awesome guy from ID at Xbox, who came along, played the game, and he said the same things, but he also had this moment of excellent clarity for us, where he pointed out what was wrong with the game, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. My first thought was dismissal. I kept this internal, but my first thought really was, nah, you're wrong. You just can't see what we're trying to do with this, or you don't understand my vision. Something idiotic along these lines, something childish along these lines. But very quickly, that resonated with something that, some fear that's been in the back of my mind this entire time, and I realized he was right. He was absolutely right. All of this tweaking and changing we've been doing this entire time, the reason that wasn't going to work was because fundamentally there was a problem with the game, problem with the core gameplay concept. So, just to give a quick overview of what that was, the slicing mechanic we wanted to pair that with this kind of free movement of the character, give the player the luxury to solve the puzzles at their own pace and to, traverse the world and experience the space on their own terms. These two didn't work together. They were a complete change of pace for the player to have to arbitrarily switch between one or the other. It wasn't fluid. There was friction there. And the two mechanics, because they were so distant from each other, it didn't allow for, a fluid, organic gameplay experience. And no matter what we did to rectify this, it always just created new problems. So, I was mortified by this revelation and this realization that it was right. I, to my mind at the time, had wasted all the weeks I've been here at Stugan so far. We had a very limited, less than half the amount of time left to completely change the game, to completely create something new. And worse than that, to go back to my previous video, as far as I could see, had led us down this path. It was me, it was my design decisions, it was my gameplay project, it was my leadership that had led us into this situation where the game was shit. At least that's the way I reasoned it to myself at the time. So myself and Joao, we went for a really long walk and a talk. Very, very deep, intense talk about the game, about what Alexis had said and what potential directions we could take. I can't recommend this enough. This huge burden that had suddenly presented itself to me, if I had tried to just shoulder this myself, would have consumed me. I would have dipped back into one of the funks that I talked about in my previous videos. Instead, being open with my teammates and relying on them to bring their perspective to the discussion helped hugely. One, we discovered we were on exactly the same page. We both had a very similar reaction to what Alexis had said. Two, we immediately started generating a path to get out of this. So after a very long, intense talk, during which time I'd freaked out that I was an idiot, and we both worried that we had ruined our chance here at Stugan, we came to a conclusion that, one, we could either keep the game as it is and polish it up and have a really nice looking, albeit flawed game at the end of Stugan, or we could make the changes we knew needed to happen and do the best that we could with the limited time we had left to make that presentable. We argued about this for quite a while, but the eventual decision was this: it's better to have a half of a good thing than a whole of a bad thing. It wouldn't matter how much we polished a turd, it would still be a turd. So with that in mind, we set to work, and the work helped. I was still feeling a little bit down about the entire process and very, very worried. You know, it's a monumental task, and there was definitely a part of me that was saying, like, hey, you fucked this up once, you'll fuck it up again. But as soon as I sat down in the woods with my sketchbook, ideas just started pouring out of me. And it was the first time that I had connected with Rosvita in quite a few weeks. I was excited about the concept, and it had tickled something in my brain that just started generating new ideas. I excitedly took these to Joao, and we have worked on them constantly for the last week. And I have to say, Joao's a bit of a beast. He has overcome so many problems and come up with some really genius ways around things. And now, a week later, already, we have a game that is so much better than the Rosvita from 2 weeks ago. So much better. Everyone is saying it. Everyone who's played it is enjoying the game. And what's more, that fucking gameplay experience clicks. It's fun. So I'm feeling much better about that now, and we're far less behind than we initially thought we were. So, you know, in hindsight, that change needed to happen. I wish we'd seen it before, but showing it to other people and being open to feedback and criticism helped us see this problem. And now that we've decided to embrace it rather than try to hide away from it again, we are so much further along on our journey than we would have been otherwise. So, I mean, I think that pretty much sums this up. Thank you for listening. If you want to see more, subscribe, follow the blog, follow me on Twitter, and thank you very much for letting me ramble at you again for 8 minutes. Alright, I'll see you next time, and I'll try and get more videos out, but kind of useless, so we'll see. Bye-bye.